So this is the 2016 overhead apportionment job costing question. It's usual job costing, splitting them up type question. So it gives you more limited as two production departments, one and two, and two ancillary departments, A and B, and the following costs relate to 2016. So it gives you the costs, it gives you the four departments, it gives you information about the business here, the size of the business in floor area, the volume in cubic meters, the employees, the book value, and machine and labor hours. It gives you a little bit of information here about the services, how they'll eventually be split up, and then this is a sort of a separate job, separate question here for later. And it says you're asked to calculate the overhead to be absorbed by each department, showing clearly the basis of the apportionment used. Now, I've cheated a little bit in that I've already copied and pasted that out from the question. So we write this out as it is, and then we have to put in a column for basis because of the question, it's very, very specific. It wants to know what basis are we going to split the overhead up on. So for the first two, the indirect materials and indirect labor, they're already split up. So we write given for those two. Then we make a decision how we're going to split up the total cost here into the four departments from that point on. So you've got machine maintenance. Now you look, basically for each one of them, you look down here at the list and you'd say which is best associated with machine maintenance or with each expense. So machine maintenance will be machine hours. Depreciation of factory building, well, it could be either floor area or the book value of buildings. We'll go with the book value because it's correct. But if book value isn't there, which is some of the older ones won't be there, you would use the floor area. Buildings are always valued on floor area, but if book value is there, you must use book value. The factory light and heat. So light and heat, you heat by volume. So obviously heat air and you light air. So the volume is what we'll use there. Factory cleaning, you're cleaning in effect the floors, I suppose. So that's going to be the floor area. The last one then is the factory canteen. Well, it's the number of employees that use the canteen. So that's how we're going to split them up. Now, to split them up then, we have to split them up in the ratios given in these questions. So machine maintenance, if we're splitting up by machine hours, there are 50,000 machine hours, of which 30,000 are in production 1 and 20,000 are in production 2. So 3/5 in production 1, 2/5 in production 2. There's none in the services department, which sort of makes sense. Services being like the secretarial services, accountant services, health and safety, whatever it might be. So we take the 12,000. We always divide by the total here, so divide by 50,000, and then multiply our answer by both the 30,000 and the 20,000. So for department 1, it's by 30,000, which will be 7,200. We'll take the 12,000 and divide by 50,000 and multiply by by 20,000 for department 2, and that'll give you 4,800. Okay, so the second one is the factory buildings, and we're doing that by book value. So we go down and look at our book value. 600,000 split 300, 150, 150. Now I'll show you again, we're splitting it up by this information here. So we take that 30,000, we're going to divide it by 600,000 and multiply by 300,000. So half of the floor area, or half of the book value, sorry, of the buildings is in production department 1. So 300, 600,000. So it makes sense that that would be 15,000 then. Okay. Now I can show you a cheat on this. 150 is half of 300,000. So therefore this has to be 7,500. Okay, but we'll show it to you. 300,000 or 30,000 divided by 600,000 and multiplied by 150 will give you 7,500. Okay, next one, 100,000 is 1/3 of 300,000. So this is going to be 5,000 because 5,000 is 1/3 of 15,000. We'll go with the 30,000 divided by 600,000 and multiplied by 100,000. That will give you 5,000. And then this is going to be 2,500 because we've got 50,000 here. 50,000 is half of 100,000 or 1/3 of 150. So 1/3 of 7.5 will be 2.5. Half of 5,000 is 2.5. But again, I'll just take my 30,000, divide by 600,000 and multiply by 50,000. That would be the constant way of doing it. Okay, so that's that one done. Factory light and heat, and we're doing that by volume. So factory light and heat by volume. So we're going to take the 18,000. The volume is, the total volume is 6,000. So we're going to divide by 6,000, should be 3. So it's a nice easy number. And it's going to be 3 multiplied by 3,000. Okay, which is 9,000. Again, 3,000 being half of 6,000. So you should nearly know ahead of time that it's 9,000. So it's 3. So 18,000 divided by 6,000 is 3. 3 by 1,500 is 4,500. So 18,000 divided by 6,000 by 1,500 is 4,500. You can continue on then with services A. Services A is 1,000. Now I know that's going to be 1,000 is 1/3 of 3,000. So 1/3 of 9,000 will be 3,000 as well. So it's 18,000 divided by 6,000 multiplied by 1,000, and then 18,000 for the last one divided by 6,000 by 3,000, or by 3 again, multiplied by 500. Okay, 1,500. There's loads of really quick ways of doing it that you can develop yourself. Factory cleaning, we said, was by floor area. So we're going to divide the 8,000 by 1,000, which is 8. And then we're going to multiply each of our answers by 400, or we're going to multiply 8 by each of our numbers here by 400, 300, 200, and 100. So by 400 will be 3,200. By 300, just 2, 4, it'll be 1,600 next. So 8,000 divided by 1,000 multiplied by 200, and then it'll be half of that, which is 800, or 8,000 divided by 1,000 multiplied by 100. Okay, now factory canteen, it's an interesting one because there's nothing in services department B. So the total number of employees is 490. So we're going 5,600 divided by 490. Okay, and we're going to multiply our answer by 280, which is 3,200. The next one is by 140. So again, half of 280. So you'd expect it to be 1,600. 5,600 divided by 490 by 140 is 1,600. And then half of it again. 70 is half of 140, so you'd expect it to be half of 1,600, which is 800. So 56 divided by 490 multiplied by 70. Okay, that's 800. So we total up all of our overheads next. So we're going to total them all up. And we get 562, 600, 275, 800, 10, 4, and 4, 8. And that's our overheads as split up. So that's part A finished. Part B is transfer the service departments to production department 1 and 2. So I'm going to transfer them one at a time. So transfer of service department A. So service department A is 10,400. So what we mean by transferring is move your expenses from here into the other department. So this has to go to 0. So we get it to 0 by taking 10,400 away. Now we have to split it up. And it tells us here, in this box here, what basis to split them up. So it says services A, 70% of it are associated with production 1. So we find 70% of 10,400. That's 7280. And 30% then of 10,400 is 3120. Okay, so that's how we move them over. Services B then, we've got 4,800, so that has to go to 0, so minus 48. And then that is split up 60-40. So we find 60% of 4,800 and 40% 4,800. Okay, and there you go then. We total them. So you'll see that I'm gone to 0 with my 2 ancillary departments. Okay, so that's those done. It then asks us to calculate a suitable overhead absorption rate for each one. So if we look at production department 1, machine hours are dominant over labor hours. So to find a overhead absorption rate, for department 1, we're going to take you always do these either by labor hours or by machine hours, right? So that's the overhead absorption rate. So we're going to do it by machine hours. So we're going to go overhead over machine hours for this one. So the overhead is 572,760. And we're going to divide that by the number of machine hours, which is 30,000 for department 1. And that'll give us 19.1. Okay, or 19.09 actually is what it is. So stick with 19.09. Okay, for department 2, so we're going 2808. So we're going, sorry, overhead, and we're going to put it over labor hours this time. So the overhead is 280840, and we're going to put it over labor hours because labor hours is the sort of dominant one here. So we'll do that. 280840 divided by 45,000 is 624. So that's the cost per labor hour. So that's per machine hour. So every time every job we do, we work out how many hours the machines are on for, and we multiply by 19.09, and that'll be our cost. And this is per labor hour. Okay, so that's part D, C done, and then part D is compute the selling price of job 650. So this is the information here for job 650, and we have to work out what the costs associated with that. So what costs have we got? Well, we've got direct materials for starters. So we've got 7,500 plus 2,800. Which is 10,300. Then we've direct labor, which is 4,000 plus 3,900, which is 7,900. Okay, so there's our two costs. They're known as our prime costs, if you remember from manufacturing accounts. So I'm going to call them prime costs because they always use that in the marking schemes. Obviously, you wouldn't use any marks for not doing it. So then we move to our overheads. So we've got our department one first of all. Now let's look at department one. Department one uses €19.09 for every machine hour. So the machines are on for 120 hours for this job. So it'll be 19.09 by 120. Okay, so 229080. And then for department two, it's 624 per labor hour. And it gives us the number of labor hours, and it's 100. So that's going to be 624. So there's no other costs associated with it. You don't have to work out labor rates. You don't have to work anything like that. So these added together are the cost of your job. So that's what it costs you, 21,114. So what does that mean? Then tells us that the company's budgets for a profit margin of 20%. So profit is 20% of sales. So sales must be 100%. Well, that would make then costs, because cost plus profit equals selling price. So cost must be 80%. So this number here, 21114.8, has to be 80% of the selling price. So we're going to take that 2114.8, we'll divide it by 80, that gets you 1%, multiplied by 100, 263450 is the selling price. I've left out a 1 there somewhere. So 2639,350. And then the difference between the two of those is your profit. Or take the number again, divide by 80, multiply by 20. It'll give you the same answer. So obviously they're at one decimal place for me, but they're euros. So that's 80 cent, 70 cent, and 50 cent. Okay, so that's part D done. Now, I would think there's quite a few marks gone for the theory on this because that was such a short question. So I would say part D. Explain what is meant by a reapportionment of overheads. I wouldn't be slow about getting this correct. So what does reapportionment of overheads mean? It means transferring overheads from service departments and dividing them between the production departments of the business, so that they can be recovered in the cost of production. Okay, so it's the transfer of services departments to production departments, uh, divided up on whatever basis, so that the overheads can be recovered in the cost of production. And what we mean by that is that they can be priced into jobs. Um, Name three overhead absorption rates and state why they are based on budgeted figures. So overhead absorption rates are based on labor hours, machine hours, anything per. So per labor hour, per machine hour, or per unit. You could use any of those. And they're based on budgeted rather than actual costs. Um, because you mightn't actually know what your actual costs are till the end of the year. And you can't price jobs up um, historically. You have to price jobs into the future. So if you're to price jobs correctly, you have to you have to come up with a way of doing it, and the way to do it is through apportionment of costs that way. Okay, so we'll leave that at that, lads, and we'll see you with the next one.